Despite being one of the best snipers in the Second World War, he never received a gun on his first appearance. Vasily was just given 5 bullets and told to rush into battle. A gun was given to every 2 soldiers in the Soviet Union at that time due to a serious shortage of supplies. Once the gun holder dies, then the other person is allowed to take his gun. Faced with a Nazi army equipped with high-tier weapons, all soldiers rushed to the front to kill the enemy. This time, the Soviet army was desperate for death. While Vasily's comrade tried to pick up a gun, he was mowed down by a machine gun. Unfortunately for him, the other guy is faster. By the time Vasily could react, most of his comrades have already died. The Nazi victory was not unexpected. There was destruction and ruins left after the battle. Soon the German tanks began to clear the battlefield. German soldiers shot at the bodies of the Red Army soldiers to make sure that they remained dead, but they didn't expect that one man would still be alive. He is a political commissar of the Soviet army. When he saw the fascist lieutenant in front of him, he quickly picked up a gun to kill him. He pulls the trigger, but the gun is empty. At this time, Vasily, pretending to be dead, quickly crawled over to the commissar. He still had 5 bullets with him. As soon as the gun was loaded, he handed it over to the commissar, at the same time reminding him not to shoot recklessly, relying on the surrounding sound to conceal himself effectively. It took the commissar a moment to realize that this young man seemed to know what he was doing. He was then given the rifle immediately. Vasily used the explosion to shoot down the first target after identifying the target, the enemy lieutenant. Boom! Dead, just like that. He continued to hand out Soviet leads to the other Nazis. The last guy who was smoking noticed something was wrong, grabbed his pants, and ran. But Vasily didn't give him that chance because he is too good. The legendary sniper Vasily first battle in the history of mankind, the bloodiest battle. It was the Battle of Stalingrad. There were more than 2 million casualties in the Red Army alone. The average survival time of a Soviet soldier is less than 10 minutes. Russians faced the machine guns and tanks of Nazi Germany during this brutal time. As a result of shortages of supplies, the Soviet army showed signs of defeat. The Soviets are in dire need of a hero to boost the Russians' morale, and it just so happens that Vasily is a badass sniper. The political commissar published Vasily's profile in military magazines, telling marvelous stories. He not only performs well, but exceeds everyone's expectations. A continuous 10 days later, 40 Germans were destroyed. Morale in the Soviet army was greatly boosted by this feat. The Germans began to believe they weren't invincible with Vasily's KDA constantly rising. Soviet sniper news spread quickly to the Germans, making them fear going into open combat. Despite the officers' efforts, the two sides were stuck in a stalemate. The German army commander became extremely angry and sent his own secret weapon into battle to resolve this problem. The most badass sniper in the German ranks is König, who had the rank of major. The Germans must be in a bad position if they send someone like Mr. König to the battlefield. König told the colonel yesterday, "We lost another 25 soldiers to enemy snipers." Germany's morale suffered greatly because of him. The commander asked König, "How do we even find this guy?" König then replied confidently, "We don't. Let him come to us." The next day he began to deploy a fierce attack against the Soviet troops. However, König did not kill the enemy soldiers, but only aimed at their officers. 5 Red Army officers were killed within a day. It quickly caught Vasily's attention. Leading his teammates to the front, he explored. The sniper on the German side was also located after they observed for some time. Vasily shot and the enemy's helmet fell off, thinking the sniper was dead. Vasily led his teammates to check while one stayed to watch. However, when the other 2 left, the observer was killed. Vasily discovered that the sniper was just a decoy when he went upstairs. Thus they had obviously fallen into the enemy's trap. They watched everything around them carefully without daring to move. Suddenly, fascist air forces dropped bombs on the area, causing havoc. Vasily's comrade fled in fear, but as soon as he got up, Major König shot him. Taking advantage of the thick smoke, Vasily fled. A professional sniper like König thrives on panic. It took the sacrifice of 2 comrades for him to realize this was no ordinary sniper. Soviet troops also received intelligence about Major König's arrival on the Nazi side and decided to change strategy, knowing that König is a very dangerous man. Therefore the political commissar sent a silver-headed Kulikov, a sniper from another battalion, to assist. The 2 teamed up to deal with Colonel König to force him to come out. This time they took a different approach. First, Vasily shoots down the fascist power lines 160 m away, then the silver-headed guy shoots him. Both of them took turns shooting, making it impossible for the opponent to tell where they were. They finally got König's attention after killing the 3 repairmen. As bait, he captured a Soviet prisoner and forced him to wear a German soldier's uniform. He was shot instantly after the prisoners left. That helped the major locate the 2 Soviet snipers. Kulikov baited König into firing first with his headgear, but König didn't fall for it. He just smirked, knowing that an old fox like him cannot be easily fooled. He aimed straight at the only exit. Kulikov didn't know about it and thought the enemy would never reveal himself. He suggested continuing to move to the new location, but Vasily said that the opponent's actions are very unusual. 4 line repairmen have been killed in a row, yet no snipers have been sent. Even with Vasily's skepticism, Kulikov chose to stick with his gut. We could just jump out with König if he's here. That way he wouldn't have time to react. They went out together, but as soon as Kulikov jumped out, he was shot and killed. It was so fast that Vasily felt extremely nervous seeing his comrades die. He stumbles onto the ground. Vasily has never experienced such fear since childhood. It's like facing a professional predator waiting for a small mistake. Knowing that his opponent was more badass than himself, Vasily went to the political commissar with an offer to surrender this fight of life and death. The commissar, however, tried to convince Vasily that this was not just a matter of 2 people being at odds, but that the honor of both countries was at stake in this competition. It was announced by the commissar that he had decided to infiltrate the enemy ranks through the use of a spy. The next day, a young boy is seen spying for the Soviets. It is revealed that König's shoes had yellow dirt on them, which is only found in the ruins of factories. Vasily realized this is a piece of very valuable information. As soon as they arrived at the site, they quickly hid among the dead bodies and prepared for an ambush. However, an entire evening has passed and he is still waiting as he had to concentrate for a long time, and Vasily's sleepiness finally prevailed. Besides missing the opportunity to kill König, he also accidentally revealed his position. Taking position, the major aimed his gun at Vasily just as he was about to fire. Suddenly, a German soldier blocked Vasily's view and turned his body over to take his wallet. König became enraged and fired a warning shot at him. After looking back, he only saw a pile of bodies on the ground from the wallet where the major had discovered the identity of Vasily. In light of this, the German commander concluded that Vasily was probably dead, but König disagrees. Vasily is probably the sniper who was sent to kill him, and if he was there to ambush him, then surely there is an imposter among their ranks. As a result of the investigation, the major was able to quickly identify the spy, but he did not kill him immediately. In order to convey his plan to the boy, he deliberately told him what it is. The boy thought it was real, so he rushed back to tell Vasily. Vasily arrived the next day to ambush König, but upon looking around, he discovered that the young boy had been hanged. This is a tragic event. As it turns out, König purposefully set up Vasily for today's one-on-one dispute. It was extremely painful for the political commissar to see the boy hanged, for he had arranged for the boy to blend into the enemy's ranks in order to make amends for his mistakes. In order to create a window of opportunity for Vasily, the political commissar offered to sacrifice himself. The commissar begged his subordinates not to let him die in vain. As soon as he said that, he immediately poked his head out, despite Vasily's attempts to stop him. A major was unsure whether the person he hit was Vasily or not this time, as the positions of both sides were revealed. Thus, he continued to hide and observe the surrounding environment. Nevertheless, he did not observe any movement after waiting for a considerable period of time. When König saw this, he safely stepped outside to examine the body, but he had not gone far when he stopped suddenly. Vasily was aiming straight at him unexpectedly. In the end, the battle-hardened major who had fought hundreds of battles was defeated by a freshman. When König removed his headgear hat slowly, as if to convey a message, it appeared as if he was saying, "You got me." According to the report, despite the fact that the major is like a level 100 mafia, he lost the battle. But why? Due to his conceit, he always acted alone only to discover one day that without backup, one was pretty much screwed. In the film, unity and determination lead to victory. War is not a game for those that wish to become heroes. The movie ends here. Goodbye and see you all in the next video.